I'm so glad you're here. Welcome to ELA Humanities. I am Heather Pineda. This is my third year teaching 7th grade at Liberty Junior High and my 15th year in education. And I love teaching 7th graders reading and writing and everything that connects with humanities. So I'm going to give you a classroom tour and tell you a little bit about myself and my classroom. I'm so excited that I get to teach your students both in person and virtually. So we'll start at the front. So at the front, this is kind of where I display information. There'll be announcements here, our seating chart, because as you look around the room, you can see that we have our desk spaced as best as possible to provide for safety. Students have an assigned seat, and I track that to make sure that we're being safe, and they'll have their desk protectors up, and they have access to cleaning supplies as they need them. The other thing I'm big on is being on the rise. That's like our acronym here at Liberty, and it means being respectful, involved, safe, and encouraging. And also, we're playing a little class competition game, and I'm asking them to remind you to wear their masks correctly. And when I mean correctly, this is something to practice at home with your child, is that at Liberty we wear our mask over our nose and all around our face, and they're secure, and they stay like this at all times unless we're sitting down in the cafeteria to eat breakfast or lunch, or we're grabbing a quick sip of water when we have that chance. The other thing to note is that all of my work normally in another year would be turned in by paper, but since this year we're virtual and we're taking safety so seriously here at Liberty, everything's being turned in through Google Classroom. So Google Classroom is our hub for all information and communication. So our classroom syllabus is posted in Google Classroom, and I did email that out at the beginning of the year. It's also linked with this video and the information you'll get when you see this. So that's a great place to find some more about humanities and what we're learning this year. A little bit about grades. That's what some parents always want to know about junior high. So this year I'm working really hard with students because we're in unprecedented times to help them be successful in class. So I'm accepting late work up until about a week before the grade cutoff. That way it gives me time to grade it and make sure everything's in there accurately before I have to submit my grades to the office, and I'll notify students via email and through class announcements. Also, students, if they fail an assignment, are allowed to make it up to a 70, so I encourage them to do that. My conference period is 7th period, and I'm also available after school on Tuesdays and Wednesdays for Zoom tutorials. Students just need to let me know in class or send me an email and say, hey, Miss Ping, I need help. I'll send them that Zoom link, and I'll connect with them and help them grow as readers and writers. So let's come on back this way. So as we come back here, this is our classroom library, and so I'm still able to check books out to students, and our school library is still open. And what we're doing differently this year is I tell the kids about the books, or I give them 2 book flap covers to read without touching, and then they pick a choice, or we look online for books. That's how our book shopping is a little different. And then once a student checks out a book, it's been quarantined for 7 days by district protocol before it's allowed to touch the hands of the next student. So that's one of the ways we're keeping students safe. Students are also being encouraged to read books online. I've given them 2 different online resources for books. One's Epic and one's Sora, and those are both linked in Google Classroom. And I'm really working on encouraging students to grow as readers and writers by exploring their own books. So a lot of our assignments in class, because we are humanities, not only connect to the real world and literature based on the thematic units we do, but also they connect to students' interest in their books. So what is humanities, you might ask? Well, humanities is the study of humans and history. And so if we think about what it means for humanities, like if you think about this, history is life's story, and time moves forward, and history repeats itself, and our lives are shaped by culture and events. And I think if we look at what 2020's brought us in the world, we'll definitely see how history and current events and the past all come together and impact us today. So currently we're wrapping up today on the 10th of October 6th. We're wrapping up our Unit 1, Who Am I, Who Are We as People? And Unit 2, we're starting in about a week, and that is how do we define home? Then in Unit 3, we'll explore how does conflict lead to change. Unit 4 is how can words evoke change. Unit 5 is how does technology transform our society. Unit 6, how do humans rise together to overcome injustice. justice is, and then Unit 7, who are we now and where are we going? So part of our humanities block is that we partner with social studies. So your child, if they have me for language arts, they have Mr. Muslin next door for social studies, and we work together to help students understand the connection between literature and history and current events and our world together. The other thing, just to remind you, it's so important that students come every day with their Chromebook and it's charged, or they're bringing their charger to school, because all assignments are being done electronically, and so that's our primary form of communication with each other in class and how they're turning stuff in. So if you just remind your child every night, charge that Chromebook and make sure it's ready for classes. And then if you ever have any questions or need anything, please feel free to reach out to me. I'd love to connect with you this year. Thank you so much for stopping by.